Well, welcome back in, hockey fans. It's ACHA M2 West Regional Tournament. UCLA is here. They're playing for the opportunity to go to the national tournament. Yeah. Head coach Griffin McCarty is with me. Griffin, tell us about UCLA. For the people that don't know, how good is this team? I mean, I can see your .850 winning percentage and all that stuff, but how good are you on the ice?
Honestly, I think, kind of the proof's in the pudding. I think the win percentage is, obviously good, but I think, we've got a really young team, which is awesome for years to come, but I think right now we got a lot of gamers. We got a lot of guys that we can rely on, a lot of guys that we can show up, We got 3 lines that, as a head coach I can rely on to put out there in any situation. So we're pretty fortunate.
When you think of UCLA, the last thing you think about is hockey. But you guys play some really good hockey on the Pacific Coast. Aspirations of moving up at some point in time? You want to go ACHA D1 if that's possible and beyond maybe?
I think eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you see the expansion of college hockey to ASU and, hopefully more and more to the West Coast. Eventually that's the goal. Eventually that's the goal, to have a Pac-12, Pac-8, whatever you want to call it, D1 conference. Right now, this is our first year kind of this program, the D2 team being, this was our first regional win, program history. So, we've got a lot of steps to climb right now. So, but I think eventually, the further goal looking into the future, obviously, get a couple, especially with San Diego State and Oregon, possibly going D1 or going D1, just little things like that where eventually, I think we need to, set our footing in D2 first and kind of make a name for ourselves, let everyone know that this year's not a fluke, and kind of build a program, a couple more years and then see what happens. But
I'll tell you, your players are unbelievable. Billy Zegras reached out to me this past summer and said, hey, can we come on your podcast? Can we talk about UCLA hockey? So players drive it, but there's a process, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think, for instance, like I played on the team my junior and senior year. So I played with all our seniors, like Billy, Cam Kwong, Tyler Sheppy. Those guys were my teammates.
Yep.
Our program, my senior year, which was 1920, so the year before COVID, the program was completely different.
Right.
It was a different vibe. It was a different environment. It was a different, pretty much everything besides the 3 of us or 4 of us. But I think that's the one thing that we take a lot of pride in this program, because it's a lot of, myself, Sean Allen, our assistant coach, Billy Zegras, co-captain, and then Duke Fishman, our team president and captain. We take a lot of pride because a lot of the stuff that we do kind of comes from the 4 of us. It's a lot of hard work kind of behind the scenes, not just the hockey side. So, we definitely have our own interest in it. But at the same time, too, it's when you can put a great product on the ice, and winning's fun. I think at any level, winning's fun. So we're enjoying it. We're having a good time. But, it's not done, but we're happy with what we've done so far.
So UCLA to Denver. Hopefully the next stop is St. Louis. How big would that be for your program to get the opportunity to advance to the national tournament at this point?
I mean, it would be first time UCLA has ever been to nationals. So that's, one on its own. I was talking to a fellow California, one of the managers for one of the other schools, Loyola Marymount, the other day, and he was saying, can't remember the last time a California school was a national. So not only are we doing this for UCLA, but we're doing it for California hockey. That's the whole goal. I think being in California is growing the game and continuing to grow the game, in the local area, and make it more notable for, kids that are growing up in LA or in Orange County, San Diego, being like, hey, there's a great product here. There's a great product for you, go to prep school, go to juniors. If, you don't go D1, don't go D3, you got a place to play. There's a lot of great programs, and I think doing that and going to nationals and continuing to win, we're not only, growing our program, but we're growing like the collegiate hockey level in California.
Well said. When I started my company 7 years ago, the goal was to grow the game. I started in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now we have offices Scottsdale, Vegas, Denver. We're reaching out to the Pacific Coast, so we'll be in LA soon.
Awesome.
The idea was to just put more focus on, more attention, because that's what it all comes down to, right? If guys see the opportunity and see what you guys are doing here, that brings more players into the game.
Oh, 100%. I mean, obviously, we're fortunate enough, UCLA is a ginormous brand for the school itself. It's not hard to convince a guy if they're a good academic student to be like, hey, you want to come out and live in Westwood? You're going to be sandwiched between Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, and your winters are 70, 60 degrees. That part's not hard. But like you said, it's just growing the game, growing the notoriety, letting people know about it. I grew up in Detroit, so I grew up in a hockey hotbed. I know what it's like to have that ingrained in not only the society and the communities, but kind of the culture.
Right.
So I think we're just slowly trying to build that in, not just Southern California, not just Los Angeles, but on the West Coast.
All right, before we jump into talking about your team, tell me about the efforts to fundraise, because this isn't cheap. Hockey itself is not cheap. Traveling from UCLA to Denver and then hopefully on to St. Louis. So what are the fundraising efforts like for you at the D2 level?
Like you said, it's not cheap. It's not easy. We've been lucky. We do, a bunch of fundraisers through the school. We got a nice donation from the Samueli Foundation, who Henry Samueli is a UCLA grad, and actually the engineering school at UCLA is named after him. So little things like that. The club sports department at UCLA has been great. We've kind of, developed a really nice relationship with them. So they've been very helpful through all the steps and through all the traveling we've done. I got to give, hats off to our president, Duke Fishman. Yep. He's the one that kind of, he makes that boat row on that side. So, like I said, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of kind of, fundraising here and there. But I think we've kind of started a good process, but also at the same time, it's worth every penny.
Okay, let's take a short break. Let's come back and let's talk about your team on the ice. As we tape this, it's 8:30 in the morning, and there's a big game coming up in about an hour and a half. So we'll be right back.
Really, JR, you think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
Welcome back in, hockey fans. Still here at the beautiful Promenade, the Ice Center at Promenade. It's a great facility, 3 ice sheets, a great place to hold a tournament, and that's what we have going on. We have the M2 West Regional Tournament. Head coach from UCLA was with me, Griffin McCarty. Okay, Griffin, let's talk about your team, right? 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all playing for the opportunity. Only 2 of you are going to get to the national tournament. What's it going to take to win this thing?
I think for us, it's going to take a complete game. We were really satisfied, as a coaching staff and as a team, as our game yesterday. I thought that was probably our most complete game we've played.
Yeah.
I think, we're fortunate enough to have, 3, 4 lines that we can throw out there and we can really trust as a coaching staff. But at the same time, too, I think we just kind of got to stick to our game.
Yeah.
Hard on pucks, make life, difficult for their defensemen, make sure we're breaking out of the zone easy. We're fortunate we got 6 defensemen that can skate, that can move the puck, and they can move the puck forward. We got great goaltending in net. Both our guys, we kind of run a 1A, 1B system. Another thing we're very fortunate for, but honestly, we're very confident in our game. If we can kind of show up, play our game, I think, we got a fighting chance with pretty much anyone on this West Coast.
Providence. That's who you get today. Everybody thinks Providence. They think East Coast. Not this Providence.
Yeah.
But tell us about what you expect out of them. And I know you want to play your game, but you still have to be aware of what they can do best.
Of course. We watched their game versus Loyola yesterday. They're a very good team. Very skilled. The one thing you notice is, they can move the puck. Yeah. They do a great job. They're not forcing plays, but they're also doing a great job of kind of waiting for the late guy. They love hitting that D-man coming in, we noticed. It's going to be something like we really haven't experienced. Yeah. Their whole lineup is, they all can play. They're good players. I just, we're confident that if we play our game, I think it should be a good test. But I think, you got to know what you're going up against. We watched a bunch of film on them yesterday. We watched their game yesterday. But they're a great team. That's for sure. So it's going to be a great test, not only just for us this year, but kind of to see, they're probably up there with the Marys and the Botnews and the big dogs in the West, and just it'll be good to see, hey, if we don't win, we just want to, put a good game out there and just be like, hey, we're building from here. Kind of give us that show like, hey, we belong to be, a top team, a top 6 team.
Day one was 4 games, and 3 of them went into overtime. Yesterday was pretty much chalk across the board. Everybody that was ranked higher did what they were supposed to, I guess, right? It's tough in this tournament because if you're going to win your way in all the way through from the start, it's 3 games in 3 days. You guys, 2 wins in 2 days, but that's still not easy. I mean, it's a 10 o'clock game. You got to adjust your body clock a little bit. How are the guys handling it to this point?
So far so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see in a couple hours. But, I think we came in Wednesday night. We skated here Thursday morning to kind of get acclimated, get all the kinks out. Spent, the day at the rink just watching the teams. I think so far so good. I mean, we've played back-to-backs all year.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you do in college hockey, the D1 level or the club level. So that part's no different. Obviously, the stakes are a little different now, a little higher, but at the same time, too, I feel like you just got to kind of treat it like that. You just got to treat it, we always say, we're doing 5-minute segments each period. So 20 minutes at a time, three times, and then just kind of take it from there. I feel like you just can't get too, especially in games like this where there's a lot on the stakes, but also you're playing really good competition. You just got to kind of, you can't get too high, you can't get too low, you can't get too far in advance. You just got to kind of stick to your game and make sure that shift after shift, everyone's kind of sticking to it.
I would be remiss if I didn't say there's a Zegras on your roster. Southern California knows Zegras pretty well. Tell me about this one.
Billy's one of our co-captains. I played with him on the team. He doesn't have the hands like Trevor. Sometimes you might think he does, but no, he's one of our leaders. He's a great player, great 2-way defenseman. I've obviously played with him as a freshman, and now coaching him as a senior. A lot of growth. I think the one thing about Billy, which is nice. Obviously there's some times where in, games we've played where, he'll have the ability to rack up points or have good games. But at the same time, when the going gets tough, he's a guy we rely on. He's kind of a guy we're going to throw out there in any situation and be like, hey, kind of that safety valve. So our D-core kind of, starts with him. And if he's going, we know everyone's going to fall in line. So this team wouldn't be the same without Billy.
I can tell you one thing. If anybody wants to see this program go, it's him. He reached out to me, as I said, early in the year, and wanted to make sure that you guys were getting some attention. Is he like that on the ice, too? Is he that type of a leader where, hey, follow me, guys?
Yeah, I think, he's definitely very vocal in the locker room. But I think it's kind of, he's more lead by example, but also kind of the, if something needs to be said in the locker room, he's probably our go-to guy. Him and Duke both are 2 captains. They do a great job of, leading by example on the ice, but also being able to speak up and kind of say, hey, this is what needs to go. We have a great relationship with both of them as our coaching staff, so we kind of know what's going on in the room, how guys are feeling, and kind of have that ability to, rely heavily on them. There's some times where it's like, hey, you guys need to say something, or we'll come in and say something. It's kind of a nice relationship we've kind of developed within our team, but it definitely, it all starts with them, and then, they get the ship rolling. If they're going, the team's going. So it's nice to have leaders like that to rely on.
At UCLA, we have to talk about the Duke. I just call him the Duke.
Yes.
Right? Tell me about his game. He's the team president, right? Mm-hmm. He's a co-captain. Mm-hmm. Tell me about his game on the ice. What am I expecting to see today?
A lot of skating. Really good skater. Loves having the puck on his stick. Great shot. I think, he's definitely, as the season went on, has, progressed more into a 200-foot player. Okay. Which is what we need from him, especially where you get into these games, you get into regionals, you get into these tougher opponents, you need your big guys to step up. You don't need them just stepping up on the offensive side. You need them stepping up on the defensive side. So he's a guy that we can rely on, 200 feet, He's a great guy. If there's a big draw, he's probably the guy going out there to take it. He, like I said, he's one of those, him and Billy, it's kind of like if they're going, the team's going. We have the ability. We have other guys that will step up in games, like an Owen Sweeney or a Johnny Alvento, guys like that can kind of take over if needed, which, definitely helps. But it all starts with Duke. It all starts with Billy.
All right, let's wrap it up by just getting your comments on this facility. I talked about it, 3 ice sheets, a really good environment. They put on a really good show for you. What's it been like for you guys personally to be here at the Promenade in Westminster?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's what a facility. I mean, I gotta thank everyone that's put this tournament on. Like I know Charlie was the head of the Big Mountain Conference.
Right, yep.
He's been great. It's funny. We were a late add to their showcase in January.
Okay.
So we came out here, and I was in contact with him pretty much 3 or 4 days before we came out here. It was a quick turnaround, but coming out here and they put on a great product. The facility itself is beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. Great job. The staff's been great. Ice has been great. Everything. I feel like, especially for ourselves and our program, being here is obviously kind of a whirlwind and kind of something that isn't normal. Hopefully it's a new normal,
Right.
but we're very happy to be here. The camaraderie and everyone running it has been great. It's been awesome to be here and see all the different teams from all over the West Coast. Like you said earlier, I think too it's great for hockey on the West Coast because there is so much parity with all the lower seeds winning, and even the games yesterday, they were all competitive. Yep. They were all close. So it's great for the West Coast, but also they've put on a great show here at the Promenade. It's awesome coming out here. It's an easy trip from LA, so we're always happy to come out here.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Good luck today, and let's see you in St. Louis. I'm going to be there the whole week, so I'd like to see more people I know out there, okay?
Hey, no promises, but I would love to be out there in March.
All right, folks, you heard it best. That's the head coach from UCLA, Griffin McCarty with me. Good luck, Bruins.
Yes, thank you. Go Bruins.